Good evening, town board members. I am Jack Gallagher, your invasive species manager. This is Nicholas Sapa, your aquatic life regional DEC manager. Cam Cassidy, public relations over there on the end. Henry McGrew, our financial manager, and Gabby Gordetsky, our project manager. We are here today to discuss the problems that hydrilla poses to our local waterways. Beautiful example right there. Hydrilla is a unique invasive species that is native to Eurasia and that poses a huge threat to our native waterways and the species that inhabit them. What sets hydrilla aside from native aquatic and other invasive species is the ability that it has to reproduce at an alarming rate in many different ways. Also at which the density that it can survive. Hydrilla growths look like underwater jungles, preventing sunlight from reaching the benthic environment. This chokes out native plant species. When these growths die, decomposers use up all the oxygen in the water, leading to hypoxic conditions impacting native fish species. Hydrilla is not unique in its methods of outcompeting native plant species and taking over bodies of water. However, it does have some adaptations that make it a lot different and set it completely aside. Hydrilla sets itself apart by its unbelievable ability to reproduce again. Hydrilla can produce in 4 different ways: fragmentation, tubers, turions, and seeds. Fragmented pieces of hydrilla that contain at least one node are capable of sprouting into a new plant. A speck of a leaf that is left on a boat and is not dried can end up taking over an entire shallow area of a whole water body. By doing this, it destroys the benthic environment of biodiversity and species richness. Hydrilla is a submerged perennial aquatic plant. It is capable of living in many different freshwater habitats. It can grow anywhere where there's a few inches of water. Hydrilla can tolerate low nutrient and high nutrient conditions, as well as salinity up to 7%. Another adaptation hydrilla possesses is it's enabled to outcompete native plants. It's able to grow at 1 inch per day, and it starts photosynthesizing much earlier in the morning than native plant species and can do it with much less light. By doing this, it is able to grow faster, thicker, and outcompete everything. Also, the way it reproduces, some of those tubers can last in the water underneath the soil for as much as 4 years before they can start growing, making it impossible to know when they are actually leave the ecosystem. Again, to recap, the main adaptations that give hydrilla the advantage over other native plants are: it can grow in low light intensities, it's better at absorbing carbon dioxide from the water, and is able to store more nutrients for later use. It can tolerate a wide range of water quality conditions, and it can procreate in 4 different ways. Now I'd like to hand it off to Nicholas Sapa.
Good evening. As Jack has mentioned, hydrilla has become an alarmingly big problem in our waterways. As Aquatic Life Regional DEC Manager, it is my job to create an integrated pest control management plan, and here's what I propose to be done in order to combat this alarming problem. IPM is the coordinated use of pest and environmental information and economical means with the least possible hazard to people, property, and the environment. Removing dead organic material in combination with the water drawdown would assist in the beginning processes of removing and preventing the spread of hydrilla. The most effective option for pursuing invasive species management includes suction harvesting. Particularly with early infestations, suction harvesting can be used to selectively remove and target plant root systems, where it is then deposited into a bag at the surface, allowing water and sediment back into the water system, but trapping the plant itself. This prevents leaving behind tubers, which if left would produce new plants. Surface barriers are also a non-selective option to prevent floating plant masses, but tend to be used for areas that are frequented by swimmers or boaters. This can be ineffective in the sense that it additionally prevents the growth of native species alongside that of invasive species. An alternative option, which can also prove to be ineffective in areas relying on native species, is benthic barriers. With this, small blooms of hydrilla can be controlled by covering the sediment in which its root system grows, thereby preventing sunlight and preventing photosynthesis, resulting in plant death. Unfortunately, this cannot target specific species other than the target area and may also harm the native species of a given ecosystem. Additionally, this may result in the gas buildup in certain regions. And in areas where vegetation is considerably thick, raking it out or utilizing breakup mats would allow for the application of herbicide to come in contact with foliage and root system. Once the hydrilla dies, a second rake out can occur to remove dead material and reduce potential for further spread. In regions where water drawdown is not a viable option, chemical treatment can be used as an effective and fairly safe alternative. We advise to avoid chopping, though, the plant, as it can easily spread and therefore makes it hard to clean up. And I'm going to be passing it off to Gabby, our project manager.
As project manager, I have created an action plan to manage the hydrilla infestation in our 5-acre ponds. Control methods for the hydrilla include mechanical, chemical, and biological controls. Chemical methods for control methods for
Just keep going.
The mechanical control method for includes physical labor, which requires repeated operations throughout the growing period. Harvesting the hydrilla can also kill aquatic species living in the plant growth, so this is quite undesirable. Chemical controls include the use of two chemicals typically used for hydrilla control, being copper halates and fluoridone. The biological control agents we found most useful for the control of the hydrilla is the grass carp. The park is planning on partnering with the local college's environmental studies class to help assist in biological control methods. The students have been studying effective species and would be using this opportunity to create a biological control research project. Since Crystal Lake is only 5 miles away from the location where the hydrilla was found, the seasonal inlet poses a great threat to the spread of the hydrilla to this major body of water. First, we must create a physical barrier to protect the seasonal inlet from carrying the hydrilla to Crystal Lake. Then we will implement a biological assessment in order to evaluate the hydrilla population. We will continue these assessments in order to see if the control methods are effective. We will continue with the release of the grass carp for the local college. Following this, we will enable public education efforts with the use of employees spreading information on the hydrilla. We are also planning a stewardship program which will monitor boats coming in and out of the park's pond. Now I'll pass it on to Henry.
Mechanical control equipment may cost up to $300,000 with additional operational expenses, representing a major capital expense. Chemical control agents are estimated to cost around $1,000 per square acre. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service issues financial assistance through grants and cooperative awards to state and local governments so that with assistance we will be able to cover the costs of the control of the hydrilla. All costs of the biological control monitoring and implementation will be covered by the local college assisting in the control project. The Crystal Lake Shore Owners Association will be covering most of the costs of the physical barrier. Public education and stewardship programs in order to protect the lake from getting infested by traveling hydrilla. A major concern of the homeowners on Crystal Lake is property devaluation for any tarnishing done by the hydrilla. We estimate the cost of a public education specialist at $7,200 for the season, being they would be paid $10 an hour for 8 hours a day across a 90-day seasonal period.
No, not you can't. Get over here. You guys go. Okay. As public relations director, I will make sure the stewards handle these situations in a non-invasive manner when having to deal with the problem boats. We will do our best to educate the public as friendly and quickly as possible. We will display large, easy to understand, and to-the-point signs and posters that clearly explain the issues associated with and how to prevent aquatic invasive species, specifically hydrilla, from entering our waterways. We will do our best to make this little to no cost to our town's taxpayers. By educating the public, we hope to have simple habits to be incorporated into the average boater's routine. Also, if any drastic changes need to happen, we will be nothing but truthful and cooperative about any and all situations. I'd like to finish off by thanking the town board members for listening to our plan. As you see, we do have a plan that will be quite effective. We have the funds to pay for it, and we have an awesome team ready to take it on. We hope to work very well with the public in a way that they understand and are enthusiastic about saving their waterways. We have it all drawn out. You've seen it. We have the money, and I really hope we can make this happen. Thank you.